And finally, the last step, leveraging your customers or growing your audience. So your satisfied current and past customers are your most valuable resource. You've put in the hard work to establish a relationship with them and win their trust. You've crafted an excellent experience to turn them into satisfied customers if you do step 7 correctly. And they'll most likely sing your praises if you ask them. So customers are critical to encouraging prospects to trust you. The biggest advertising budgets in the world aren't anywhere near as effective as consistent reviews and referrals from those satisfied, like I like to call them cheerleading customers. So by leveraging your relationships with your existing customers, you can have a steady stream of new leads into your audience for you to nurture and convert, and also have additional assets you can use when nurturing brand new members in your audience. So there's 3 ways to leverage your relationship with your customers. You need to define the specifics for each of these 3 elements in your marketing plan and make sure you write them down. First, you can increase the lifetime value of your customers by orchestrating recurring purchases. So, selling add-ons, including higher level packages, providing new innovations, things like that. Even something as simple as focusing on increasing the frequency of purchases, or by reactivating, your drop-off customers who fell away from one reason or another, or some way to repackage everything so that you're encouraging coming back more frequently. You also can increase the lifetime value of your customers by decreasing toxic revenue. So this gets a little bit deeper into there's a business and customer relationship, but it's based on the idea that not all revenue is equal, not all revenue is good revenue. So revenue from the right customers is good revenue, but revenue from the wrong customers will destroy your business. So what do I mean by toxic or good revenue versus bad revenue? Well, it goes back to that PVP index. Look at your PVP index. The ones that are the low P, so if you look at the cold hard numbers of working with those customers, if they have a low P, you're not profitable with them. Then it probably, or alternatively, if you aren't happy working with your customer, that customer persona, maybe they take up a lot of your time. They're never satisfied. They always want to be speaking to the manager. They're, to put it nicely, a little bit more trouble than your other customers. Those are the ones that you want to seriously be thinking about whether or not you should pursue them. If you have retainers with them, if you're a service-based business, then don't be afraid to lose those clients, because long-term they're going to hurt your business and not help it. You want to be focusing your efforts, focusing both marketing and then servicing, focusing on the ones that truly do value you, who you are, and what you bring to the market. The more you do that, the more likely you are to have good relationships with all of your customers, and not to mention, your workplace is going to be happier for it. You're going to have much less stress if you get rid of those difficult, toxic clients that aren't helping your business. And you'll be able to orchestrate those recurring purchases and really leverage those relationships with those customers. Because one other danger with those types of difficult customers is they're typically the ones who are going to give you a bad review and not be satisfied no matter what you try to do to help them. So the less that you focus on them, the more you do to avoid those types of clients and avoid that type of revenue, the better off your business is going to be in the long run from both a marketing and an internal operations perspective. The second way you can leverage relationships with your customers is by crafting that review process. And the easiest way to do this is by developing a review funnel. So remember, funnels are just ways to craft desired outcomes. It doesn't mean you're always going to get that outcome from someone, but you're leading someone through the steps to get to that outcome. So a review funnel is an excellent way to encourage good reviews. The goal of it is to gather honest feedback about your business, but, and this is the key, in a way that only encourages positive public-facing reviews. So what this typically looks like for our clients is it's an automated email flow and a series of landing pages that funnel satisfied customers who write a review on Google and Facebook, while presenting dissatisfied customers with a contact form where they can vent their frustrations and feedback, but it's internal and only your eyes see it. Any sort of potential future customers wouldn't have access to it, and that wouldn't damage your brand unless, of course, the person's so dissatisfied that they decide to go to Google anyways. But also you have to keep in mind when you set up that review process, you need to also set up a system for managing reviews. So that means you need to have someone, and ideally one person dedicated, and their job is to review and handle reputation management. So doing things like responding to reviews, both positive and negative, having a process in place to handle negative reviews as well as positive ones, handling reviews, comparing you to a competitor, anything like that that may potentially negatively impact the brand of your company. And then also, of course, you want to be leveraging relationships with your customers to stimulate referrals. You don't want to just rely on the hope that people will just automatically refer business to you because you're just relying on that. It's a hope. It's not a certain thing. And you're honestly bringing in a little bit of risk by just relying on a hope. So your customers need to be reminded, because most of the time they won't think about it, that they worked with you, that you're a good company. So the best way to get them to get referrals is just to ask. And ask on a regular basis. Ask when it makes sense with your relationship with that customer. So what's the best way to ask? Well, there actually is a process to this, like there is to all things. You want to let your customers know that you're going to deliver fantastic results for them, that they're going to have a good experience with you. That sets trust that they can then feel good about transferring to their friends and their colleagues. You also want to create a subtle expectation from the beginning of your relationship that they're going to be benefiting if they refer people to you. For instance, one way we've done this in the past is when asking for referrals, wording it in such a way that you basically say, we're able to offer you lower cost services because we're not having to put any money into advertising because we get so many referrals. We don't have to advertise. That reduces our overhead, which means you benefit from a lower cost of services or goods. And then you also want to give your current customer a guarantee of the quality service you'll deliver to their friends or their colleagues. Because that's one reason why some people hesitate to give referrals. Like even if they had a really, really good experience with you, even if they loved your services and your products, sometimes there can be a little bit of hesitancy because they're not sure if you're going to do that over again. So by giving them a guarantee, saying, yes, we will take care of them as well as we did you, and this is why, we're not just saying this, but this is how you know we will, saying that will eliminate some of that risk to your customer's reputation that may be in play by referring their friends or their colleagues to your business. So after you ask for them, you obviously also need to have a system in place to manage the referrals when you receive them. So you got to track things like, for referral number and frequency, who referred them to you, because if you have someone who's regularly referring business to you, then it's good to give them something in return, a thank you, a nice gift, a card, money off their services, something like that, just as a thank you show of gratitude, because that will often spur on more referrals. You'll also want to be tracking who typically, what in terms of persona and customer history of the people who are referring to you, and also the people who are being referred to you. Any other sort of metrics specific to your industry and business when it comes to referrals, things like that, just so you know what emphasis to place on referrals, how much you can rely upon them in your overall lead generation and marketing plan, and then also so you know how to incorporate this into your overall customer experience.